Hey guys, what's going on? I'm going to be showing you a nice Witch Doctor build. You get about 30k burst damage. Now I consider this burst damage because it's not full sustain. You can do about 30 seconds at a time for about every 2 minutes. It's really great in soloing, and it's really great in group when you have 3-4 people um, for those elites and bosses. Now, there is a lower level build you can use, but it's not as high DPS. But I'll go over that afterwards. So first, I'll go over the passive skills. What you want to have is Vision Quest. This is completely necessary. This is the only passive skill that's completely necessary to this build. Just because of 300% mana regen when you have 4 or more abilities on cooldown. So it just lets you continually pump out bears. In this case, I'm using bears, but you can also use exploding dogs. Pierce the Veil. I use that just because of the extra damage. It does cost more, but with all the mana regen, you'll be getting way more than you're spending. You can replace this for Jungle Fortitude if you want. I was using Jungle Fortitude for a while, but now since I have over 20,000 health, feel more confident in my abilities. So I changed to Pierce the Veil. The other one I use is Spirit Vessel. Now, I wouldn't say this is recommended, but I would recommend it because this has saved my butt so many times. Just because you take lethal damage, you go into spirit form instead of dying, so it gives you about 2 seconds to heal. You're invulnerable for that 2 seconds, and it's just amazing. It's an amazing ability. Not sure exactly what the level. I know it's somewhere 40s. And the required active skills that you want to use is Zombie Charger. And you want to use zombie bears. You want to use zombie bears because it's just constant. You have constant bears, and you can have a row of 3. So if it's a bigger enemy, you can hit them with all 3 bears. Even if they're smaller, you can still hit them with 2 bears. And that provides insane deeps. Right now, I think my bears are hitting for about 12k apiece, and I crit for about 15, so... the other one that you need is Spirit Walk, and you can use what is the one that gives you health? You can use Healing Journey or Honored Guest. I like using Honored Guest just because it's extra mana regen, and Spirit Walk is one of your defensive spells. It's really great for running into the fight to start it, or keeping you alive for just a few seconds longer, enough to get a heal off or something. You can pass through enemies, get out of jails. Only thing you can't do is run through walls, so if you go fight against wallers, or cages, like when you fight Diablo and he can cage you. You can't Spirit Walk out of that. The next active spell you want is Soul Harvest, and you want Siphon because of that extra health. It's once you get really high level and you have a lot of health, it won't make too much of a difference, but it's still really helpful. Like, it's about 2,000 health for every enemy. So, and on top of it, you get an intelligence boost for every enemy, and it can stack up to 5 times. Now, the health does go more than 5 times, so if you are surrounded by a lot of little enemies like spiders or shades, you can just heal yourself to full health, and that's amazing. The next one is the Big Bad Voodoo, and you want to use Rain Dance. And you get this at pretty low level, and this is definitely an amazing spell for groups and even solo. When you have Rain Dance on, you get the massive amount of mana regen that just lets you constantly spam your Zombie Charger spell. And when you're in groups, it still gives the attack and movement speed. So if you have Demon Hunter or anybody who relies on doing more damage with attack speed, it really helps them out as well. Um, Now, the Fetish army, you can interchange it with the Gargantuan and use Big Stinker or really anything. Um, I like the Fetish army just because it's a longer cooldown, so I don't have to remember about it as much. It's the same cooldown as the Big Bad Voodoo, so they're both 120 seconds. It's easy to remember. If one's up, then if you use them both at the same time, then it's easy to remember. Oh, just reuse them again. And you want to do that to maintain that 4 abilities on cooldown, because you'll be constantly spamming your Spirit Walk and your Soul Harvest. So for the Fetish army, I like Fetish Ambush just because of the extra damage it does when you light them. But you could really use anything, and like I said, you could use Gargantuan. I was using Gargantuan, and I stopped liking it so much because he doesn't catch any aggro. He kind of just gets in the way. Enemies attack him if they feel like it. He's not that great of a help, and he doesn't do a whole lot of damage anyways. With Fetish army, you do have a bunch of the little guys which can block enemies from getting all the way to you, and they'll decide to attack them instead. But they don't last forever. That's the one thing to keep in mind, is they're really short. Their lives are quite short. Now, for your last spell, this is interchangeable. I like Poison Dart with Splinters, just because if I'm out of mana, or if I'm not in that point in that 30 seconds of massive DPS and I'm out of mana and I'm really hurt, I can be from afar and be hitting enemies and still be putting on slight DPS. And with Poison Dart, it actually goes off this DPS, as opposed to the zombie dogs that explode, or your bears do not go off of your actual damage counter. That's not calculated in here. The other thing you can do is you can use Firebomb, and you can use what is it? It is Mass Confusion. That's what it is. If you use this one, Mass Confusion with Mass Hysteria, it's really helpful for enemies who are immune to stun, such as bosses, like Diablo. It'll interrupt them and actually stun them. So when he's doing his cages, if you're right on top of him, you can just stun him, and you won't have to worry about dodging cages or anything like that. So it's really helpful. I think the only thing with this is that the cooldown is really big, so you have to keep that in mind, and that's why I like having like Poison Dart or the Firebomb as my spell. So like I said, you can basically, for the lower level one with the Zombie Charger, instead of using Zombie Bears, use Explosive Beasts. You can't spend, I mean, it's a lot slower. It still does good damage, but I'd rate it about 10k DPS. I took the time to do the math, and that's what I was getting with around 800 intelligence. So it's pretty good. That's the one thing too I would also recommend is you want to get your intelligence and vitality up a lot, because you want to be able to take hits, because you're going to be really close in the fight. Now, I know the Inferno, that's going to change, and Inferno you really need, you're going to need a tank. I don't know if you can solo. I haven't gotten to Inferno yet. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and show you a little taste of fighting, showing you the DPS. I'm sorry, I forgot what I was saying. I'm going to show you the DPS a little bit, so I'll go back into Nightmare, and let's see, I'll just fight Asmodon, and I'm going to cut out for a second, and I'll cut back in when I'm right at his gate. Alright guys, I'm back. I figured I wasted enough time talking so much about the build. I didn't want you to watch me run past all those enemies. So here I am, right in the heart of the sin, about to fight Asmodon, and one thing I realized I forgot to mention is the order that you want to do it in, and use your skills in. I always use my Spirit Walk to rush into the fight, then use Soul Harvest to get the extra intelligence boost. And then I go ahead and, while I'm still in spirit form, I throw down my Fetish army, and then I walk backwards a little bit, and I throw down my big bad voodoo. And then I just constantly spam my zombie charger. I just hold it down, or you can keep clicking if you want to. But I'll show you how fast I can kill it. I think it's definitely less than 15 seconds. So that's it. That was definitely less than, I'd say about 10 seconds. And killed him by myself, solo. There's no companion at all. Got a few blues, got some, nothing really good because this is Nightmare, but whatever, blues and golds. Alright, well, so that's the build, and I hope you guys enjoyed it.